You're being recorded. All right,
Father
Brian.
in heaven, you are the one in whom all our trust is placed. Any trust that we put anywhere else is obviously misplaced. And so Jesus Christ, Son of God, Holy Spirit, we pray that we would experience your presence, all of you. God, one God, just bless this time that we have together, that Jesus Christ, we would know that we are gathering together to take the love that you've shared with us and spread it to the community that you've given us a great love for. Father, thank you so much for this incredible group of people that believe that life is about more than just ourselves. It's about those that we can love and serve. Lord, may this be a meeting about service and about contribution to our community. I pray this in your name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Brian. I share my screen just one more time. We're going to go around and we'll go in the order on my screen since it's different on everybody's screen. I'll call your name out. So be ready. We're just going to share our name, the name of our church, agency, or organization that we represent. Let us know if you have an announcement to share later on in the meeting. And then if you have, we're a praying group. So if you have any prayer requests, personal or for your group or just for the nation, let us know and we will take those to heart. So I will stop sharing and I will introduce myself. I'm Ann Stapleton. My husband and I pastor Cornerstone Community Church of Lemon Grove. Been here almost 20 years. It'll be 20 years this year. And I do have an announcement. I have an update on how the We Pray San Diego went across all of San Diego County under the leadership of the Rock Church. So next on my screen is Roberta. So you want to unmute and share with us?
Hi, I'm Roberta Bowling. I'm a member of the Baha'i Faith community and also on the board of the Lemon Grove Historical Society. And I'm really glad to be here. I really missed helping make breakfast. I missed the breakfast meetings so much. And I just wanted to say, I was happy to be invited to the Pray San Diego event. That was beautiful. And I just very grateful for that opportunity. And no, I don't have any other announcements. Thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you, Roberta. Next, I have Monique on my screen.
I'm Monique Myers. I'm a community partnership prosecutor at the San Diego District Attorney's Office.
And do you have any announcements for us later, Monique?
I do.
No announcements? Oh, you do?
No, I do. I'm a lawyer.
Oh, I was going to say, I would be really surprised if you didn't. Okay, great. I will get you down. Okay, great. Welcome. Good to see you again. David. Shorey. I don't know if we have any other Davids on here, but yeah, Shorey.
I didn't expect to go so quick.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. David Shorey with the Institute for Public Strategies. I'm the East County Program Manager, and yes, I do have announcements.
Perfect. Thanks, David. Mike.
Oh, yeah, Mike Lavish with the Baha'i Faith, and I don't have any announcements today.
Welcome. Glad to have you back. Okay, Brian, you're up.
Hi, Brian Scott, Engaged Community Church, and no announcements today.
Is that your dog?
It's not mine, it's somebody else.
Oh, it is. It's somebody else. Somebody else is unmuted as a dog. Welcome to Lemon Grove. As we said before the prayer, Brian just moved in last weekend, right? So very
Actually,
happy
we moved in on Wednesday. Yeah.
Oh, good.
So yeah, it just got pushed, but we're finally here. We're all unpacked. Well, we're not unpacked. We're the livable part of the house is ready to go, but we got all kinds of boxes to undo.
Oh man.
But we are absolutely so thankful to be here. Every time I walk into the house, I'm just like, I love this house. It's just the perfect house for us. So
that's so great.
And that's literally, it's the first time in my life that, in my adult life where I can actually, say that. So it's pretty neat.
That's awesome. Well, welcome to Lemon Grove. You've been here. I mean, I feel like you've been here for years and years, but Now you can actually say, now you can actually vote for our Lemon Grove issues. Okay, Billy, you're up next on my screen.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Billy Simmons. I work at North Park Apostolic Church. I'm on staff and a minister here. And I wanted to ask Jeff something because I've been praying for his mother. So I wanted to find out how she's doing.
You can answer that, I guess, when he comes back in. Thank you for asking, Billy. Really appreciate that. I know they've had a lot of family things going on. Did you have any announcements for us, Billy, at the end?
No, not today.
Okay, all right. We'll come back to you. And Jeff?
So I'm Lydia Romero. I'm with the City of Lemon Grove. I'm their city manager, and I do have some announcements. And I'm going to couple the announcements of our homeless outreach worker, Nodder, as well as then, just if it's okay with you, have Noah lead into our housing element introduction discussion. We can get the city business all out at once.
Yeah, that sounds great. Lydia, we'll come back to you first, and that will lead into Noah's presentation. And then we can do all our other announcements after that.
Perfect.
Great. So Noah, do you want to introduce yourself next, since we can actually see you?
Sure. So Noah Albee, I'm the Community Development Manager for the City of Lemon Grove, and we'll talk a little bit later about the city's general plan housing element.
Thank you. All right, Andy.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Hi.
I'm Andy Pendolian with MIG. I'm here in support of with Noah Albee and Lydia Romero. And I'll just for in the interest of time, I'll introduce Joey Nielsen, also with MIG, and he's here listening in as well. We're going to be part of that discussion item when it comes up.
Great. All right, welcome to you. And Joey? Shanna.
Hi, Shanna Clevenger with I always say San Diego County Sheriff's Department, out of the Lemon Grove Station.
Woohoo. Any announcements for us, Shanna?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Great. All right, Nader, is that?
Hi, my name is Nader. Are you able to hear me?
Oh, you're with Lydia. Okay, Nader.
Sounds great.
And your organization?
Yeah, my name is Nader. I'm an a homeless outreach specialist with Home Start.
Home Start, that's right. Great. Welcome. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
All right, Jennifer, you're up next on my screen.
Hi, I needed to unmute. Good morning, everybody. I'm Jennifer Mendoza. I'm on the Lemon Grove City Council, and I'm also an active member at St. John of the Cross Church. I co-manage our food pantry, our weekly food distribution at the church. And then also I'm working with the Lions Club on a food distribution. So I'd like to just talk a little bit about our upcoming Lions Club / Thrive, or maybe I should say Thrive / Lions food distribution coming up. And then I do have a prayer request also.
Okay. You can tell us your prayer request right now if you'd like.
Oh, it's my, cancer has been touching my life very closely. And I think sometimes it's inevitable. I mean, we can pray for these miracles, but my prayer is for the people I know who are really suffering right now. My prayer is that their suffering is eased, and that we can help them find some joy in whatever time that they have left. So that is my prayer, and it's for someone specific, but also I think people in general who are suffering through their cancer treatment.
Thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, we'll all be in prayer for your loved ones, and I know cancer has touched almost probably everybody here in one way or another, so we can connect with that definitely. Okay, Jeff's back. Jeff, do you want to unmute and see if we've got audio for you?
Can you hear me this time, Ian?
Yes, we can hear you. Okay, you can address Billy and then introduce yourself.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Billy. My mom passed away on the 17th of January. We had come home and about what eight days later, she passed away. So Chris and I left the next day, and we just came back to San Diego last Wednesday, a week ago. So it was good to be able to go back there and be with family and extended family and all that. But I want to thank you all for your prayers. And so now my brother and I we've got a dad, and we're trying not to be a father to our dad, if you know what it's like. He's 85 years old, but sometimes, that happens as life goes on. Some of you know that better than I do, but thank you for your prayers. I'm pastor at First Baptist Lemon Grove, and don't have any announcements today.
Glad to have you back, Jeff, and I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
All right, next up on my screen is Joyce. If you want to unmute and introduce yourself.
Hey, good morning, everyone. And I'm Joyce Moore, a 30-year resident of Lemon Grove and president of Thrive Lemon Grove. And I do have one prayer request. On Monday, we lost a friend of 43 years, Bishop Lorenzo Stevenson. COVID/cancer was the reason. And he ordained my husband overseas in Okinawa back in 1978. And so we were really close friends, and we're really feeling the pain of that loss. And I do have several announcements when we come back.
Okay. Sorry for your loss, Joyce. No, that's rough. Okay, next on my screen is Sarah.
I'm Sarah Lewis from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I was actually just called to work with the young women in our congregation, which I'm excited about, 3 of which are my daughters. So I'm excited about that.
Very nice.
I just maybe can just take a minute talking about the Historical Society. I'm also on the board there. Roberta Bowling is chairing the essay contest, which is starting. So if you have a 3rd grader or an 8th grader in Lemon Grove, we are starting the annual essay contest, which is a fabulous tradition of the Historical Society. I got to read the essays last year for 3rd graders. It was fabulous. Also, there's a lot of work going on in the archives. That's kind of my job. We have, we're really excited for this summer. We're going to really try to have a great event in the Treganza Heritage Park and celebrating that, and hopefully have a big gala fundraiser. But I know that the museum is an option on Saturdays. The museum is an absolute hidden gem in Lemon Grove. And if you call the number, you can make an appointment with Laura Hook, the president, to see the museum. If you have any family in town, that's kind of a fun thing to do. So that's all I have.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. Okay, next up, I think, is Mike James. I don't think you've introduced yourself yet. There you go.
Hi, good morning. Mike James with the City of Lemon Grove, and I do not have any announcements.
Great. It's great to see the city faces. So great. Welcome. Let's see. Next up is Megan Johnson.
Hi, my name is Megan Johnson. I am from the County of San Diego. I work with Zach Hansen, who's unable to attend the meeting, so I am here in his place. And I do have a quick announcement at the end.
Okay, great, Megan. Thanks for joining us. Tell Zach hi. Let's see, Joey Farah. Farah, maybe I'm saying that.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Farah. This is my first time attending this meeting, but I work at the Nile Sisters Development Initiative, which is a nonprofit here in San Diego. And we work with faith-based organizations to promote a smoke-free campus policy. So that's why I'm here today. Thank you.
Well, welcome. Glad to have you join us.
Thank you so much.
I think the last square on my screen is a phone number, and that might be, is that Susan Farnsworth? It's muted, so there she is.
Susan Farnsworth, Lemon Grove United Methodist Church laity.
Glad to have you, Susan.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm gonna just give you like the 30-second report from the We Pray San Diego, and then I'm going to turn it over to Lydia and then to Noah, and then we'll just filter down through the rest of the announcements. So let's see. So the Rock Church has been really excellent at taking leadership among the churches in San Diego County, all of San Diego County. And back in, I believe it was June of last year, we did our very first one, and we gathered around, we bordering cities. The first one was a bordering city. So we met over on Hamishaw and Sweetwater, and we prayed with Spring Valley, and we spread out 6 feet apart down the streets and prayed along with an audio guide that the Rock Church had prepared for us. So we, every 2 or 3 minutes, we'd be praying for something new. And we prayed for, of course, racial unity, because that was a big thing. We prayed for COVID, that was a big thing. And then we decided it was such a great unifier among the churches. We would meet for weeks before and after on Zoom. And it was really bringing the churches together. So we decided to do it once a quarter. So then we did it again, I believe it was September. June, July, August, September, yeah. And we broke up into smaller groups. And we had a group pray outside of Lemon Grove Academy. And we had a number of you there to pray for the school and the teachers and just the challenges that the schools have been having with educating during this pandemic. And over by the school over by Will's Church, San Miguel Elementary. So we had two schools here in San Diego that were represented. And then we just did one, and because the numbers had been shooting up and it was for healthcare workers, we decided to do it online. That was a call that Pastor Miles made, and I think it was the right call. The hospitals really appreciated that we weren't gathering in person around the hospitals. They felt very respected by that. They said oftentimes they feel very disrespected when people don't follow the protocols, and so they were very grateful. So we had, let's see, 2,000 unique viewers that joined online, 72 decisions for Christ, 46 people joined on the Spanish platform, 24 churches partnered together. So it was smaller than our very first one, but it was still really powerful. 17 hospitals were contacted. I was the representative contacting Grossmont. So I was able to talk to their chaplain and get prayer requests from them and encourage them and get an address to mail cards to encourage their staff, and just thousands of prayers were made. So Pastor Miles's team put together a video prayer guide, which is still available if you want to use it. It's awesome, and it just guides you through an hour prayer, which goes so quick when you break it down into 2-minute sections. So that is my update, and we are going to do the next one is going to be actually for churches. There's just a lot of division even within Christianity about how to handle the pandemic and politics. So we just decided this time we'll pray for the churches. We don't know exactly how we're going to do that. We hope it will be in person outside, but I will give you an update on that as it gets nearer. So, okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Lydia, and then you can introduce whoever you want to speak. And then following you, we'll have Noah Alvey give his presentation.
Thank you, Anne, and I'll make this really fast. So first, before I go into and formally introducing Nader Ho, who is our outreach worker with our contractor Homestart, I just wanted to give you a little update on COVID. The hours of the COVID testing site has changed with the county because they had to divert some of those healthcare workers to the vaccine site that they're running all over the county. And so the hours are 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And they're still trying to operate 7 days a week. I have been in conversations with the county health nurses about perhaps transitioning into a co-testing, co-vaccine site where we do testing a few days and then vaccinations a few days. I'm hoping to have an announcement in the next couple of days to see if that becomes a fruition, so we can bring vaccines to Lemon Grove. It'll still follow the county's platform of age-based and employment-based, but at least we've got a localized vaccine center here for folks to walk to, and they don't have to drive to Padre Stadium. So
that would be
that's
awesome.
Yes, so that's the quick one. And then I just wanted to introduce our Nader Ho, our outreach worker whom you met a little earlier. He, as you know, the city's been trying to get our arms around our unsheltered population and try to connect them with services and try to build some trust. And we really needed some dedicated boots on the ground to do that. Luckily, the silver lining around COVID, there was a lot of available grant money that allowed us to segregate some of that money to help the unsheltered population that does live in Lemon Grove. And with that, we were able to contract with Mr. Ho's time, and he's now in the city. He physically has an office in City Hall. And I will turn it over to Mr. Ho, and he can talk about what he does in his program.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to see all your faces. I'll just share a little bit about my function here in Lemon Grove. So I work as a homeless outreach specialist, which involves me being out in the city, having conversations with individuals who are experiencing homelessness, and just connecting them with whatever resources exist. What I typically tell people is Home Start, we're trying to help individuals who are trying to get off the streets. So if someone doesn't have an ID voucher, if someone doesn't have an ID, we help them get an ID. If they need to be connected with benefits of various sorts, whether it's CalFresh, disability, and so on, we help them receive those benefits. But ultimately, the goal is to help them, help to establish a degree of trust where they can be in our system. There's a homeless management information system through which we can place people on a community queue, and they could be matched with housing. So a lot of the work involves helping these folks become housing ready. And as you may know, a lot of these people have been so disconnected to society, and they've been given so many false promises. So there's a lot of disenfranchisement. So a lot of it is just trying to reinstill hope and have a listening ear, but also working with the city staff to help, because there's a lot of complaints residents have about trash, and some of the encampments they don't look very nice. So it also involves, working with them, to asking them to, keep their living places orderly, and things like that. There's a lot of resources available that we also have flex funds to help people with different things, whether it's like covering first month's rent and their security deposits, or helping them if they're living in their cars, doing minor repair work if their cars aren't working, things like that. And yeah, since many of you are already praying so much for the well-being of humanity, if you could please keep me and this effort in your prayers, and obviously the people who are experiencing homelessness in your prayers, it would be really appreciated. So yeah, if you have any questions, I know that was a lot, but I tried to give a very broad overview of what I do. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer them.
Yeah, let me just ask, does anybody have a question? Yes, Brian?
A lot of the homeless challenge is mental health goes hand in hand with it. So what are you doing to work with our mental health clinicians in the area, both county and private practice?
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. So we have what we call details every 2 weeks or so, and it's done through a homeless outreach team. And that team is made up of public health nurses, eligibility workers, and the sheriff, and myself. And we go out and have conversations with as many people we can that are experiencing homelessness. And so we also have a clinician on our team who she kind of so she's a social worker, but she's working on getting her license in California. But her job is to connect people who are experiencing mental health challenges with mental health resources. So she's new to our team, and her name is Rosa, and she's here every so often with me. So that's her function. And of course, I do the same thing. I refer people to mental health resources. One of the assessments we do is to ask people mental health related questions because it affects their eligibility for housing. That's kind of the short answer.
That's awesome.
Thank
How
you.
can we contact you?
Yeah, I have business cards. And yeah, someone mentioned I have an office space here at City Hall. I'm here typically Monday through Wednesday from 8 a.m. till about 5:30 p.m. So if anyone's interested to drop by to pick up my card, they're welcome to do so. I can also email you. I'll actually write my contact details in the chat box. So you can call or email me if you have any
That's great.
questions.
I know it's a big, a lot of the churches deal with homeless on a regular basis, people experiencing homelessness on a regular basis. So it's great to have somebody that we can talk to and work together, because I think that the more we get together on the same page and addressing it, because sometimes the things we do can actually make it worse. So it's really great to have you on board. Very, very good.
Thank you.
David, do you have a question?
I did.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, David.
Yeah, no worries. Real quickly, I know that obviously, homeless, those experiencing homeless usually reside within a certain area of where they've grown up, or they've become settled. And I'm just wondering, there was Lamar Park in Spring Valley. There was some efforts in there to address the homeless, those experiencing homeless living there. And I'm wondering if you've seen folks move into Lemon Grove, and along with that, I know that this county was, as I think you'd mentioned about vouchers, but the county was giving vouchers to folks to get off the streets and get into a stable location. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about that aspect, if that's something that how you do that in your work.
Yeah, so by vouchers, are you referring to hotel vouchers or ID vouchers?
Yeah, the hotel vouchers.
Okay, yeah. So to answer your first question, on a typical detail, so when we do the homeless outreach team, we interact with about 20 to 25 individuals, and for the most part, they're regular faces that we know. And but there are, I would say, like, there's plus or minus 5 people that are new faces every time. And because there's a trolley station right here. So some people do just travel throughout San Diego, or they bounce back and forth between El Cajon or the East County area. So yeah, there is that element of people coming and going. When it comes to hotel vouchers, because we have limited funds, and placing someone in a hotel is a very it's kind of like a band-aid for us. It's a last resort. We provide hotel vouchers for people who, basically, if the sheriff recommends us to do that, we place people in hotels as a temporary measure. In El Cajon, the police department there distributes their own hotel vouchers, but also if there's families that I'm dealing with a family now who they're on the verge of becoming homelessness, and through the office, the Family Resource Center, people are able to receive hotel vouchers, I believe for up to 2 weeks through the welfare office. So that's how, I guess, people in Lemon Grove could access hotel vouchers. it's through the Family Resource Center.
And can I jump in here?
Yes. Yes, please do.
Yes, this is Mike Jin from the city, and David, just to kind of piggyback on the response that Nader provided. Well, first let me jump back. So point of contact, I'm here at the city, and typically I'm available 24/7, like Lydia and Noah. So and I can put my contact information in the chat box. So if anybody has any questions, concerns, or maybe saw something that worked at another city and maybe it'll work here, those are kind of the ideas that I would prefer that you send them my way. And not to say that I'm shielding Nader from, you know, from the work that he has to do, but I'd rather make sure that his work is concentrated to the field, to the folks, to the homeless individuals in the field. So then we kind of gather that data, package it, and then we give it to him to be able to kind of make more efficient use of his time in the field. Not to say that you can't reach out to him, because obviously I think that's as many ways that we can go through the process will work well. But talking about observations over the years, you know, over the past, I don't know, 13, 14 years that I've been here, I have noticed obviously an uptick in the number of individuals that are homeless, and it's a different group that that I haven't seen before, and oftentimes they do migrate over from the county. They do come up from Southeast San Diego, from La Mesa, but Nader kind of hit it right on the head. It's the trolley, and I think he can share his experiences if we need to. But just the folks that he sees in Lemon Grove go to La Mesa, go to El Cajon, go to Santee, and then that's kind of their path of travel. And so our goal is just to get out there and make as many positive contacts and relationships as possible to hopefully build that trust to eventually get services and support provided to them. And then two quick things on the hotel vouchers. So the city council did make a very strong move by allocating $100,000 from COVID relief funds toward our Home Start partnership. And so essentially a piece of that, or almost half of that, goes towards Nader's time to really focus on the city, as well as some other aspects of East County, because we're all one big team, remember. And then the other half of that is what Nader referred to as the flex funds. And that's really our cachet of help. So the flex funds can go towards anything from if somebody has their car broken and they need a new carburetor, then maybe we can figure out a mechanic in town that can do it for cheap, and then maybe we can help provide those funds to the individual to get home. But there's also the prevention piece that's very, very important too. So any type of help with utilities, also potentially with rent, I think those are things that we can work one-on-one with those individuals. So as each of you are out in the community, you come across a family that needs that help. These are the special cases that I think we can work together on to try and do something, to try and get them another month. And then if that obviously doesn't work, then we can kind of piggyback onto the hotel vouchers and that program, because all of that is also funded through the funds that the city council allocated to help our homeless within the city. So I just wanted to touch on that real quick, and then I'll put my contact information in the box, but thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Yes, and
go
I'm
ahead,
going to jump in. As you've heard, Mike is our leader. This is his project. He is the leader on our homeless outreach and all of our homeless response. So if any of your churches have specific issues, contact Mike and he can talk with you. If you would like to have a virtual presentation, say with your church leadership, we would be happy to do that. The more eyes that we have on the ground, the more people we having in a concerted effort and sort of rowing in the same direction, I think we can truly get our arms around this issue and make sure that those folks get the help that they need. On a secondary track, Mike and I are working with the other 5 cities in District 2 within the county to create a regional comprehensive approach to deal with all of our unsheltered individuals that we know travel between communities. And so there's no information, there's no news to share on that one, but know that effort in the background is going on, and we've been having meetings, sort of stopped because of COVID, but those meetings have started up, and we are working on an effort to bring all of the cities, and again, moving all in one direction, so we can have a cohesive response in East County.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you so much. I love the prevention piece, and I know all the pastors that I know of are going to really appreciate this, because many of them have, you know, people on their doorsteps asking for money and making their rounds, and you find out they've been to all the churches, you know, and that kind of thing, or sleeping on the steps. So this is great. This is really helpful.
And I have to say thank you for everybody that is part of this faith-based community, because as Nader mentioned, we do about every 2 weeks, we actually do a concerted effort of teams, and part of their package to connect with them is we actually give them care packages. So folks that are on the street, they get food care packages, they get sanitation care packages, all in one. In the churches, and individuals have been instrumental in just donating stuff that we need, whether it's small hand sanitizer or non-perishable food items. He has it in his office, and they get sort of collated. City staff does that. Christian Olivas does that with them. And then those packages go out when they do their 2-week sort of concerted homeless outreach team.
So if people want to continue to help donate to those homeless care packages, would they contact Mike?
Yes.
Would that be, okay, perfect.
Yes.
Great. And his info is in the chat room, and so is Nader's. So feel free to copy that and paste it into your contact book.
Mm-hmm.
Any other?
And if all else fails, just email me.
Okay. We don't want to bother you, Liddy, but thank you so much for being available.
And then I'm going to transition into the next item, and Mr. Alvey will take the lead on this one, and I'll just sort of give a base. About every 8 years, we're required by state law to take a look at what type of housing we have here in Lemon Grove. And then the state, through SANDAG, hands us a number that is a goal to build, or to plan for, I should say, not to build, but to plan for in the next 8 years. And so that effort, we are moving forward and doing that effort right now. It has just started. One of the goals is to really get the authentic voice of our community and to have input in this sort of housing element, because our challenge is to plan for about 1,400 housing units over the next 8 years. And if we choose not to do a housing element, there's some harsh repercussions that the state will hand down. That number is a scary number, but we want to make sure that people understand that, one, it's a planning effort, and two, if we do a good effort of planning and understanding the needs of the community, I think we'll be able to fit at least that number as a plan document into Lemon Grove. So I'm going to turn it over to Noah and his group to sort of introduce the housing element update.
Great. So thanks, Lydia. So again, this is Noah Albee. I'm the Community Development Manager for the Community Development Department at the City of Lemon Grove, and I'm the project manager for the housing element update. I do have with me, who you heard from earlier, is Andy Pendoli. He's the Director of Planning and Community Engagement at MIG, and he's helping us with some of our public outreach and polling and some other activities related to community engagement. See if I can get my slide to proceed. There we go. So just a quick background, as Lydia mentioned, the housing element is part of the general plan, and it's an update that has to occur by state law every 8 years. So we're working on that right now with a goal of having that completed by July of 2021, so this summer. So really the areas of focus are planning for new housing, as Lydia mentioned, those 1,400 units that we need to plan for. Looking at policies and programs to really reflect current conditions. So looking at overall housing needs, looking at homelessness, and looking at just all issues related to housing. And then we're also really focused on community engagement, because we want to make sure that we get the right set of policies and programs that are the best for Lemon Grove. So what we want to do today is just to introduce some questions, get some feedback from the association about how we can effectively engage with the community, and see if there's any feedback that we can get from the association on how to proceed. So with that, I want to turn it over to Andy Pendoli to facilitate some of that discussion.
Great. Thank you, Noah. Yeah, I want to echo all that. This is just a great opportunity to connect with all of you who are in the community working with a wide range of community members. And we do want to reach the wide range of community members to really get the full understanding of broader community experiences, needs from all areas, all income levels, all interests across the community. So thank you for making some time. And if I could, Anne, just briefly, how much time could we have for a little bit of discussion here? I know you've got a full agenda, so I don't want to go too long.
Yeah, we try to be done with everything by 10:30. So if you want to take, 5 minutes, present, and then you can open it for Q&A. Would that work?
Yeah, in fact, I want to go to Q&A pretty quickly here. So yeah.
Okay.
And I know I have to leave also at 10:30, and Joey and I, so I guess we're all on the same page. Thank you. That's good to know. So yeah, as Noah touched on, and we're just working on connecting with community members to really get the word out about the effort, but most importantly, to get information back, right? Input and ideas and feedback and a better understanding of what the general needs are out there. And so for today, for all of you, we have a few questions just to start to tee up some of that. And I do want to say up front as well, we'd love to hear from you through the chat. I have a few questions I'll offer up, but feel free to offer responses in the chat as well. That gives us maximizing our time with you to kind of get as much response back as possible. I'm also going to right now, before I forget, if you don't mind, I'm going to put into the chat right now email addresses for myself and Joey Nielsen with MIG. And we'd love to follow up with any of you who'd like to talk more closely about how we can work with the communities that you serve in terms of really leveraging your networks to be able to pull people into the process. So I want to offer that up front. So first of all, as you kind of see on the screen here, this is our first question for you. When we talk about public outreach for this effort, what are the organizations that you think would be helpful for this process in spreading the word and really generating participation? So definitely want to just kind of open up, feel free to unmute yourself here if you want to weigh in. And I'll give you some examples. I mean, some of the organizations we have early on our list are those represented by some of you. Pastor Brian and I have had some initial conversations. We have more coming up. I've had some initial conversations with the HHSA, Megan's colleagues, for example. And so just to give you some examples of who we're starting to engage with. In addition, obviously, to all of you collectively as the Clergy Association. So, but please do share. What are thoughts of other community-based organizations or service groups? Kind of maybe there's neighborhood-based associations that you think would be helpful in terms of really getting the word out and getting their input back to this process. Anyone have any specific thoughts or ideas they want to share?
Perhaps the Lions Club, maybe?
Thank you. Yes.
They're pretty active in the community.
Good. They are on our short list for now, so this is good. Excellent.
Good.
Thank you.
And there's a very active Seroptimus Club in Lemon Grove as well.
Very good.
And I just have a question. What is MIG?
Good. Any other specific? Oh, I apologize. MIG, we're a private consulting firm. We've been hired by the city. We went through a competitive selection process the city put out to be able to conduct this outreach work on behalf or in support of the city for the housing element update. So that's the company that Joey and I work for. So sorry I didn't clarify that at the beginning. So.
Thrive will help with that effort too. We have a sizable following on the Facebook page, and we have a lot of collaborative partners as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We would love to follow up with you. Is it Miss Moore, Joyce?
Yes, it's me.
Wonderful. We'd love to follow up with you directly and make sure that we will be kind of pushing things out, if you will, through social media. So we expect to do that. So we'd love to be able to push right through to your network that you've generated and you manage, and all of you for that matter. So please do let us know, either separately over email or through the chat here now. We'd love to put you on the list to connect with. So thank you.
So we don't have a lot of the pastors here on this call, but I do have a pretty good list of the pastors. We have over 30 churches
Excellent.
in Lemon Grove. So, and for the most part, I think all of them are getting my emails. So I can help push information out there as well. And I'm sure that it would be interesting to them also to know what's going on.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, that'd be helpful, because we always, when it comes to outreach on an effort like this, I know, Mike and Noah and Lydia, a lot of connections in the community as well, but we don't want to take for granted that there are many more out there, and we really want to leverage all those connections and from trusted sources like yourselves and the other pastors to really make sure we're pulling people in.
Have you been able to engage with the school district?
Yeah, thank you. They're on the list too. We definitely want to connect with them. We know they're great, obviously, connections to families, a great resource. And again, minimum from the nature of communicating, right? Kind of sharing information. So thank you, David. Absolutely. We want to be able to.
And another interesting idea is maybe contacting some of the former candidates for city council who developed a list of folks that they've been reaching out to. So that might be something to utilize as well.
Excellent. Great. Let me, maybe another angle to this question, if I may, for the rest of you. I think, again, sharing this information through all your networks is wonderful. And we're particularly thoughtful about those community members who, aren't normally involved. They don't normally go to your, a public workshop on a Tuesday evening. Or maybe not as able or readily accessible to a Zoom meeting, things like that. Who are some of those community members? And again, what are some of those ways we're going to have to be creative to try and, reach out and connect with them? Any other specific thoughts related to that?
Languages are you reaching out to folks in?
We'll be fully bilingual in terms of English and Spanish at minimum. So. Yeah, did you have any specific thoughts kind of language-wise, or?
I believe that there is a community of well, there may be other ones. I will endeavor to find that out for you.
Great, thank you. That'd be great. And on a somewhat similar note, in terms of outreach, getting to specifically another question for all of you about housing needs, right? Who are the types of community members, if you will, that you believe kind of struggle the most with housing in Lemon Grove? And what are the specific challenges that maybe there's some of your parishioners, part of your groups, or more informally. Who are those community members? What's kind of typical community member, and what are their specific challenges that they struggle with?
Well, just doing the demographic research that I've done in this particular community, property values are actually higher than many other parts of the county, but household income is significantly lower. So that creates a tension for housing.
Yeah, absolutely. And very common dynamic in many California communities, as some of you may be familiar, this is some of these housing challenges you experience here are very common in our neighboring cities here, right? But up and down our state. So absolutely, Brian, that kind of that disparity between income and housing costs can be very significant for many community members. So I want to appreciate what's in the chat. David, some good ideas about the types of housing, and I do want to get to that in a little bit. And then Nader, to thank you. The focus with the Somali Sudanese community members, would be excellent. That's a good example of some kind of pockets of community members who maybe aren't normally as well connected to a process like this. We want to see what we can do to try and make some connections. So thank you. Good. Further thoughts, other ideas about who's really struggling with housing in Lemon Grove?
Andy, this is Jeff.
Yes.
I've not talked to any of the other pastors, but of late, and I guess I could talk to the city or Mike and others, we've had a couple of cars that are showing up. It's been for a while, basically every night, 2 cars, and they're gone during the daylight hours, and then they come back at night. So they're sleeping in their cars on our property, on our parking lot, as well as we have one that's on the on the street every day and goes away and then comes back. I don't know if any of the other churches are having those kinds of homeless people, you know, in and around their vicinity. So there's that group. And I know we've, through the years, had organizations that have talked to us about dealing with people that are sleeping out of their cars now, but seemingly have a job. They go somewhere and come back. But that's, you know, an issue that I think sort of dovetails into what you're talking about.
Thank you. Right. So, and it's, you know, obviously this is it's an important connection to Nader's work, you know, and Mike's work related to specifically to homeless, unsheltered community members. And we know too that there are many who maybe are sheltered right now, but very much struggled perhaps day to day, or are on the edge of struggling, if you will. And we know those, you know, who those community members are can differ community by community. So we definitely want to be thoughtful about their needs as well. So.
This is Jennifer. So speaking from my experience with people who come to the food pantry on a regular basis, so and talking with them, I think seniors are really struggling with housing in this community and the East County in general, and young families. You know, we're talking, you know, folks who are making just a little over there. I'm talking working. You know, we get working people who come, or seniors who have Social Security. They don't have, you know, other issues, but there's quite a few folks who just can't afford an apartment or to rent a house. And so my experience has been it's a lot of seniors and young families who really seem to be struggling.
Thank you. Yeah, those who, some people prefer to, you know, the term sometimes we hear is working poor, for example. But yes, they have jobs and they're working hard, and at the same time, still that struggle day to day, they're still coming to food distribution opportunities. That, as I know, it sounds like you're seeing a lot. So, okay, thank you. That's helpful to know. Good. Any other insights from experiences folks are having out there? Even if you suspect it and you don't feel like you have kind of hard evidence or data, we're happy to hear it. You know, we know you have a pulse on the community, so it's important to hear from you. Any thoughts of specific community members who, you know, we have to be maybe a little more thoughtful about and intentional when we think about housing. So. Okay, good. Well,
back on what Jennifer just said, I haven't heard this specifically for Lemon Grove, but I've been hearing about it for across San Diego. It's increasing prices at mobile home parks for the rental space, which is causing a stressor on fixed income individuals who've been living in those places for a very long time and not having alternative options. So I can't say that that's actually happening in the Lemon Grove mobile home park, but I know that that's a phenomenon across San Diego.
Very good. Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's a lot of a lot of potential new development, not specifically per se in Lemon Grove, but in other communities has been more on what they call infill development. It's looking at kind of how existing communities may change, and I know sometimes mobile home locations are areas where sometimes that change is more readily to occur, and that can put pressure on those community members. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Good. Well, and so would love to hear more thoughts on that question, but let me open up another one here. As you see on screen, part of the housing element effort that Noah, Mike, and Lydia are working on is that is to identify what are potential locations, specific locations in our city where we would identify locating new housing in the future potentially. So question for you all, what do you think are specific locations in the city that may make the most sense or be best suited for more housing in the city? Are there specific locations, parts of the city that you think would make sense, and for what reasons?
Andy, I'm not sure if how communities are focusing in on infill development along, mixed use corridors. So areas along, the downtown area of Lemon Grove, and identifying ways to really promote infill, where you have mixed use, shops in the bottom, living on the top. And I know with existing buildings that may not be possible, but there's a lot of opportunities along, that area that could be, as buildings are renovated or new buildings built, to really promote that.
Excellent, thank you. So for those who aren't familiar with the term mixed use, I think David used, so yeah, that notion is that kind of co-locating uses together, right? So it may be shopping on the ground floor, maybe office space on the ground floor, and above or adjacent to, there might be some units of housing, typically in the form of, maybe it's a condo or an apartment, could be for rent or for sale. So a lot of different ways that can be done. So yeah, David, appreciate that. So really thinking about the commercial corridors perhaps, and how they may change in the years to come. Those could be opportunity sites for new housing. Thank you. Okay. Good. Are there other thoughts about specific locations or types of housing too? And I just acknowledging what David put earlier in the chat as well. Tiny house placements, for example, work-live opportunities, which could be part and parcel along with mixed use, for example. So.
Hey, Andy, it's Noah. I just wanted to chime in quickly. I think one of the things that we've seen a lot of activity on in the building division here at the city is, people building accessory dwelling units or granny flats, and hearing about how, some families are maybe, because of housing prices, having to, move back into multi-generational families. Is that maybe we could put that out to the group and see if that's something that they're hearing, through their congregations and groups.
Absolutely.
Andy, this is Jeff again. I guess I'm asking a question for clarity. The
Sure.
1,400 housing units that I think I heard about earlier, is that something that starts at a certain date and it's a goal for 10 years down the line? How specific is that? Where does that number come from? Is it realistic in a sort of landlocked community like Lemon Grove?
So Andy, this is Noah. I can take that one. So the number for the 1,400 units that we're planning for, it comes from the state of California, and it comes down and it goes to SANDAG, which is the San Diego Association of Governments, and they take a big number for the whole county and then distribute a specific number to Lemon Grove. The intent is for us to plan and show that we have capacity in our zoning regulations and vacant properties to build those 1,400 units. And the goal is to build those units over that 8-year cycle that's starting this year, 2021.
Then a follow-up question to that, Noah, might be, realistically, is the bottom line the only place you're going to find these units? Not only, but the majority is going to be in outer space on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th floors of buildings.
So, sorry, can you repeat that one more time, Jeff? I apologize.
Yeah, my question is, I would assume the city has a good handle on the space that's not been built on level number 1 or ground level. Realistically, are most of those 1,400 units going to have to be built on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th levels or stories of communities?
So yeah, it'll be a mixture of those. So we're able to take credit for those granny flats that are being built. And there's also a lot of infill sites that are, deeper residential properties that maybe have a house in the front that can build 3 or 4 houses in the back. So I think it'll be a mixture of all the above.
Good.
So Andy, I want to be respectful of the association's time. I think we're over by a couple minutes here, and I think we've got some great feedback, and I want to make sure that we leave enough time for everyone.
I was going to say the exact same thing. And Jeff, if you look like you had maybe one quick follow on to that, Jeff, and then maybe we can just kind of wrap up and let you all continue with the agenda.
That's not necessary at this point, Andy. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Good. Well, we appreciate I totally agree with Noah. You have about 10 more minutes on your agenda. We don't want to take much more time. I know that there are announcements to come and other discussion items. So unless there's any last kind of quick questions or thoughts, and again, we'll be here until 10:30 ourselves. Feel free to put things in the chat. You have mine and Joey's email addresses. We'd love to hear directly from you about how we can particularly follow up with you about extending our outreach to your communities. It'd be fantastic. So.
Last question, if I could, Andy or Noah. There was a effort called Yes in God's Backyard, which was an effort that was presented to the Clergy Association about working with churches utilizing unused land for housing opportunities, either for like senior or those experiencing homeless as transitional housing or just low income. And I'm wondering if the current housing plan and general plan aspect contributes to that, or is that something that should be taken into consideration as this housing element moves forward?
So this is Noah, and I can take that one, Andy. I have met personally with the Higby team, and so we talked about some of those opportunities going back a few months ago now. We'll continue to be in discussions with them about those opportunities and see how we can build in potential policies and programs related to those opportunities.
Well, thank you everybody so much for these this feedback, these initial ideas. I know we have a lot of follow-up to do with at least some of you, so really appreciate that. And so I'll say thanks and hand it back to Ann, unless Noah, any last thoughts before we turn it back over?
No, just thanks. Thank you to everyone for the feedback and your time.
Thank you.
Great, and thank you for all that you're doing for our city, and good questions, everybody. Okay, I'm going to go ahead, and Monique's put some things in the chat room. Do you want to address those real quick, Monique? Put you up for announcements first.
I was putting it in the chat because I had several things and it looks like we were running out of time. So thank you. For those of you that don't know, February is Teen Domestic Violence Awareness Month. During COVID-19, domestic violence numbers have gone way up, and we're also seeing it amongst our teenagers. The first document that I included, it's called TDVAM Toolkit, and it has a calendar in there that has lots of different events that are happening for teenagers, including this week, which is a big week talking about things that are specifically relevant to a teenager. I'm also hosting an event for 16 to 24-year-olds. That's the second thing I put in there, called Dating in the Digital Age. And it's about that new aspect of dating. I guess it's not super new, but new for a lot of us, which is that online component of dating and how online relationships, how they start, domestic violence that can happen through that, and stalking and things like that. And it's geared towards 16 to 24-year-olds. This came out of a request from that age group. So it's not me thinking this is an important topic. They shared this was an important topic. And so we'll have DAs who work in the juvenile domestic violence unit and in stalking, talking to them about things that they can do to protect themselves. And the goal is really to have that conversation with that age group of 16 to 24. So please share that information. It's a free event. It's on the 26th. It's virtual. And I think that's a really powerful thing to talk about right now, because people don't realize and how you can still be harassed virtually. It doesn't have to be an in-person thing. So that's really important, especially right now. Another thing I wanted to bring up, which I brought up before, but I wanted to share this article that says it in a better way than I probably did last time. And it includes a video link. It's about text 911. That's a new feature in San Diego, of the ability to text 911 in English. It's not meant to replace calling 911, but since I'm talking about domestic violence, I thought it was important to bring up text 911, because for some people, calling is unsafe, but texting is something that they can do. And so I'm going to put in the chat that article. It has a video from the Sheriff's Department, which is great, explaining how it works. And so that's a great resource. It's currently only available in English, though. And again, not a replacement for calling 911, but it's for hearing impaired or where it's otherwise unsafe. And the last thing I wanted to share, something I'm really excited about, is that our website, the DA website, now is available in multiple languages. I've been working on this for a while, and it is currently up. Currently only if you use Chrome, but hopefully that will expand. But it's up at least in some way, and so I'm sharing it. And this will make it so that people, regardless of what language you speak, it's through a Google widget. So it's an extensive list of languages, ranging from languages Arabic, Hebrew, Filipino, like it covers the gamut of languages that are commonly spoken in San Diego and beyond. So if that's of use, I'll put the DA website link in the chat as well. But again, it's on Chrome right now, but hopefully that's expanded. But I wanted to tell you now because it's live. I didn't want to wait.
That's great. Awesome. Thank you for all that great information. By the way, well, Megan, I'll have you go next since you put something in the chat room. If you want to download all that great information in the chat room, there's 3 little dots on the bottom where the chat is. You just click on that and say save chat, and you can save all of that to your computer. So go ahead, Megan, you want to address what you just put in the chat room, that Zoom link?
Of course, I put in the Zoom links for our faith-based and community-based organization telebriefings that we do every first and third Wednesday for the faith-based and every first and third Friday for the community-based organizations. And they're great resources to come listen. We get updates about public health orders and all of that, especially with the changes that have been happening in the faith-based community for in-service attendance. And then this week is Love Your Heart Week, and I will post a link to Love Your Heart's website. And we just want to highlight that high blood pressure has been the #1 risk factor for COVID-related deaths in San Diego County. So I will post that. It has a toolkit for social media and how to check your blood pressure, all of that.
That's great. Thank you so much. I had no idea there were telebriefings for faith-based, community-based organizations. That's great. Okay, next up, I have David Shorey. Do you have a couple quick announcements? I know we're 3 minutes out from wanting to be done, but if you can just hang on for a few more minutes, we'll get our last couple announcements in.
I do. Couple of things. One, just a reminder that fentanyl is an issue that's affecting our communities, that especially young adults. We're seeing incidents where folks will go to a party or just maybe not go to a party, but where they're handed a pill thinking it's just a Xanax or some kind of or a Vicodin or something like that, and it's actually a counterfeit pill, and they die. So along that line, to encourage folks to get rid of unused prescription medication they have in their house, there's a new program. It's actually started last year, and it's in pharmacies around San Diego County have drop-off boxes for disposal of unused prescription medication. If you go to the East County Magazine, probably next week, there's an article that I wrote for our column Advancing Healthy Communities that talks about that, and I will share that when that comes out. But in addition to the Sheriff's Department drop-off locations, they are now expanding, there's a California program expanding it into pharmacies locations, because they realize that parts of the community don't want to go to a law enforcement location for whatever reason. And then additionally, for those who are interested in presentations around drug and alcohol issues in their community, would be happy to speak to your clergy or your community, and to talk about not only fentanyl, but methamphetamine, alcohol, other prescription drugs, etc., and how to institute prevention activities. And last but not least, my organization, Institute for Public Strategies, is hosting a free webinar called Playing Chess, Not Checkers. And it is focused on how to do community organizing. And that is going to be on February 17th from 10 to 11 a.m. And I will go ahead and put the link to that in the chat. So it's a 1-hour presentation, and I know it's it's a good opportunity to get an understanding of kind of working with community members, working with elected officials, et cetera, on how to advance, just community improvements.
Great. Thank you, David. I'm going to put a link in I just saw a news article yesterday about Laura Berman. She's a famous person whose son was in his bedroom and just contacted somebody online to get a Xanax, and he's a good kid, had plans for college, and he got a Xanax, but it was laced with fentanyl and he died. And he wasn't a kid who used drugs at all. Kids are bored. They're bored. They're stuck inside and they're bored. And so I just thank you for the work that IPS does in regards to this epidemic, really, that we have on our hands with the fentanyl. Let's see, next on my list is Jennifer and then Joyce for announcements. I think those are our last two. So Jennifer.
I'm going to make this really quick. As most of you know, the city has been partnering with Thrive, Lemon Grove, and with the Lemon Grove Lions to do a food distribution. We were doing it once a week, and then the city was using their COVID funds for that, and then we dropped down to twice a week. And now the city is, the funds have dried up, and but the city is still going to let us do the distribution at the recreation center, and we will have some support from city staff. And then Thrive, thanks to Joyce, received a $5,000 grant to start this, and with some frugal shopping by Joyce and myself, we're going to make that money stretch as far as possible. But we do need volunteers, and that's so I just sent Ann, to keep this short, I sent Ann an email, which I will ask you to send out to all of our clergy members. And if there's anyone in your communities who want to help, just let me know. There's 3 opportunities to help out. You can do 1, 2, or all of them. And like I said, this will be just once a month, and it's going to be on February 20 at 9 a.m. And it'll be done in much the same way that we have been doing it for the last 8 or 9 months. And I want to thank everyone who helped out, like every Friday night and every Saturday. Everyone there's people on this call who were just consistently there, either and or Friday night and Saturday, helping distribute food to 200 Lemon Grove residents. And your commitment to this just it chokes me up and makes me want to cry, that how committed people were. So thank you so much, and let's keep it going.
Awesome. I will make sure to forward that out to everybody and just recruit. It's actually fun. It's fun to pack those bags together. So you can grab some people and say, let's go on have a fun time in the community, packing groceries and handing them out. It's a good time. Joyce, you're my last one on the list, I think, with announcements, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I've been trying to put them in the chat in an effort to save some time. Hopefully everybody can see it. So I'm just going to go really fast, and it's in the chat, and usually send the recording out. I forgot to say I'm also a community health worker as well with the community outreach COVID-19 initiative through the County of San Diego. So many of you have been getting information from me, email from me with a whole bunch of resources, and I send everything that they send me, I send out. So you can use your discretion, what you think is best for your parishioners and your network. If you could send that forward, I would really appreciate that. The only thing that I would ask, because the county wants to know how many people who are reaching out to. If you can send me numbers, if you can send me names, that would be great too, because we do report that. They're not tracking you. They're not going to call you, but they would like your email so they can send you updates. For instance, last week, a week before last, we had a webinar, and it was with the doctors. Some of the doctors here in San Diego have been working with the CDC. The Biden team have reached out to them. So they're very qualified doctors, and they have a lot of information. So they would just like to send you their newsletter. They were sending a newsletter out every week. I think now they're going every other week. And also, I put the website in the chat as well. That website has a host of information. There's so many myths about the COVID vaccine that are not true. I've had people ask me, well, I'll wait to see if you're going to grow an ear, or if you're going to, what you're going to grow. I didn't grow anything, and I have had vaccine number 2, and I'm so happy to have had it. My daughter and my husband had vaccine number 2 on last week. So I think I got everything else in there, and I just want to just share one more thing. 2021, we are going to be, Thrive is going to be hosting a lot of community circles and dialogues. And so we did one in December, which was really very, very, very effective. And we had a good turnout, being that it was holiday month. So we're having the first one for this year, February 23rd, and it's self-care during difficult times. And we partnered with NCRC, which is National Conflict Resolution, and they will be bringing some of these. And then we have Attorney Troy Owen, who's on the board of Thrive, will be bringing some of them. So just to get information out, to provide education, enlighten people is our goal this year, to help people and to help bring people together during this difficult time. And I think I covered everything that I was intending to cover, because I put it in the chat.
So you put that self-care community circle in the chat as well?
Let me see.
If not,
I don't think I think I did. Okay. Yeah, it's up at the top on the 23rd. Perfect. Okay, and so that's it for me. Great. I just want to say thank you all, and thank you, Ann, for keeping this going. And also this, the city council, I forgot to say this, amended our lease to include the 2 beds at the senior center for gardening as an addition.
For the garden, good.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about that. So we'll be able to share that food with the Citronica 1, Citronica 2, low income, and seniors.
That's great. Yeah, good job at keeping that garden going. So I know, I'm sorry, we're almost 10 minutes over. I'm going to ask see if Pastor Jeff would close us out in prayer. Monique wanted to say one thing before we close out, though. Monique?
This isn't a DA thing. This is a human being thing.
Okay.
For your COVID vaccine shot is really hard. I wanted to share with you that there's a big population, if you don't know this already, who's elderly and is not comfortable signing up online. I had a neighbor call me and confide that while she is 75 and she could drive herself to any of the locations, she could not figure out how to use the website. And it was really embarrassing and frustrating. And so she called me because she thought I'd be able to help her. I did. I got her registered and she got the vaccine. But the reason I'm sharing this with you is because maybe there are people who are in your congregation who are in a similar situation and are embarrassed to say that navigating the website is hard because they do other things. This woman FaceTimes, she participates in Zoom meetings, but she really couldn't figure it out. I'll be honest, I had a hard time doing it as well. It took a long time. I had to check in over and over and over again. Maybe there's something that's happening like that within your congregation and they're uncomfortable raising their hand and saying, it's hard and I can't figure it out, but I want the shot. Maybe there are ways in which you can tap into youth in your congregation to take on the type
of them
I did to help her to sign up. And it was a tedious process, but it's not beyond the skill set of a 16-year-old, right? Like
absolutely.
Using a computer, you can do it. Transportation is a different thing, right? I didn't have a transportation problem. It was just a tech problem, but I just wanted to throw that out there because I think there's a really large population that might be embarrassed to say that they're having this difficult time navigating those websites.
It's a great point, and I'm glad you brought that up because, you know, a lot of us do have elderly in our congregations. And I saw on Nextdoor app, somebody was offering to be a tech person for any elderly person that needed help navigating the system. So that's good. I think if we can all help people, that will help get this pandemic well behind us. Okay, Jeff, do you mind closing us out in prayer?
Not a problem. Let's pray.
Thanks.
Father, we thank you for this day again. We're grateful for one more day. It says your kindness is new every morning, and for that we say thank you for your faithfulness. Now be with these organizations, the city, the schools, the government. Father, we thank you for the fact that we can come together and hold arms and work together and think and discuss and pray together. We pray for Lemon Grove, that you would bring health to our city in so many different realms, that we would thrive, these words we use. Again, just watch over us in a special way. We thank you for this community that you've placed us in, and for all these that come alongside to help us and inspire us, to educate us. We're grateful for that. So be with us now as we plan for the rest of this week and the weeks ahead. We pray this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. And by the way, pastors, next month we will nail down what we want to do for Easter. It's coming up soon. I know Pastor Brian has offered perhaps to do something out in the park where we can stay socially distanced. So stay tuned. Okay. All right. God bless you. Have a great week, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ann.
God bless you. Bye-bye.